A high school boy named Chihiro Furuya lives a very unusual life. While other teenagers dream about normal things like romance or popularity, his mind is filled with only one obsession: zombies. His room is packed with zombie DVDs, figures, and creepy collectibles, all carefully arranged like a shrine to the undead. Despite his strange hobby, his life at home is rather quiet. He lives at a small temple with his father, who works as a priest, his forgetful grandfather, and his innocent younger sister. The only companion who truly keeps him company is a stray cat that always roams around the temple grounds. But one tragic day, everything changes. The cat is suddenly killed in a car accident, leaving Chihiro devastated. Instead of accepting the loss, a bizarre idea sparks inside his head. If zombies existed, then maybe the cat could be brought back to life. While searching through old belongings at home, Chihiro discovers a mysterious book that explains a strange resurrection method. Believing this might be the miracle he has always dreamed of, he secretly digs up his cat and carries the body to an abandoned building where he plans to perform the experiment. Just as he prepares the strange ritual, his attention is suddenly drawn to a loud scream echoing through the night. In the darkness, he notices a girl shouting near an old well. The next day at school, rumors spread about a beautiful transfer student arriving soon. When Chihiro finally sees her, he realizes something shocking. She is the exact same girl he saw screaming in the middle of the night. Her name is Rei Sanka, the daughter of the school principal. Although Chihiro is known for being strange, he still has one loyal childhood friend named Renko, who has stayed by his side since they were young. Their bond seems unusually close, but Chihiro's mind is still focused on his bizarre experiment. That night, he returns to the abandoned building to continue the resurrection ritual. The strange book describes many ingredients, but one final page is impossible to read. It seems to mention a dangerous poisonous plant, yet the name is unclear. With no other choice, Chihiro begins experimenting with different plants, mixing them into a mysterious potion that he hopes will awaken the dead. Meanwhile, the same girl appears again near the old well, venting her frustrations to the empty night. Chihiro secretly watches from a distance, fascinated by the strange situation. When the girl suddenly realizes someone has seen her embarrassing moment, panic spreads across her face. She desperately asks him to keep the secret, willing to do almost anything to silence him. But instead of asking for something strange, Chihiro simply requests her help in his experiment. As the girl learns about his plan to revive his dead cat as a zombie, her shock only makes the situation even more surreal. Yet to Chihiro, this strange dream has been his goal since childhood. He has searched everywhere for proof that zombies could exist, and now, standing in the darkness with a mysterious potion and a buried secret, he might finally be closer to that impossible dream than ever before. Rei's reaction turns out to be completely unexpected. Instead of thinking Chihiro's idea is ridiculous, she becomes strangely fascinated by it. The bizarre concept of zombies feels oddly appealing to her, and she even begins wishing she could become one herself. Taking Chihiro's strange words seriously, Rei decides to help him continue the experiment. From that day on, every evening after the sun sets, the two secretly meet at the same dark abandoned place. While Chihiro focuses on mixing strange ingredients and studying the mysterious book, Rei spends her time watching zombie movies beside him, almost as if the gloomy building has become their own secret hideout because the final ingredient in the book is still unclear. Chihiro is forced to test many different poisonous plants. They try everything they can find in the surrounding forest. Some plants fail immediately, and others are ruined during their attempts, including a strange mushroom that Rei accidentally destroys. Days pass without any success. After 5 days since the death of Babu, the beloved cat, Chihiro slowly begins to lose hope. The failed ingredients scattered around him only remind him that the experiment might be impossible. While looking at the rejected materials, Rei suddenly realizes there is still one poisonous flower they have not tested yet. Determined to help, she immediately leaves to search for it. Time passes, but Rei does not return. Worried, Chihiro begins searching for her and fears that she may have slipped into the nearby river. The situation becomes even more alarming when he finally spots Rei climbing a steep cliff. Before something terrible can happen, Chihiro rushes to save her and safely brings her back down. Rei explains that she climbed the dangerous cliff just to retrieve the poisonous flower growing there. Even though the risk was high, she never considered stopping. In her mind, even if she fell, Chihiro could simply bring her back as a zombie. Behind Rei's strange behavior lies a painful past. Despite being born into a wealthy family, her life has never been happy. Her father, Ichiro, controls every part of her life. Anyone who gets close to Rei is quickly pushed away by him out of extreme jealousy. His love for his daughter has crossed into something unhealthy and suffocating. Because of this, since childhood, Rei has always kept her distance from others. Not because she is arrogant, but because she wants to protect them from her father's obsession. Even now, Rei still cannot find the courage to oppose her father. She simply follows every rule he gives, even when those rules feel completely unnatural, despite everything she has endured. Rei continues living with a gentle smile. With the hydrangea flower finally discovered as the last ingredient, Chihiro and Rei carefully prepare the resurrection potion according to the instructions in the mysterious book. When the mixture is finally complete, Chihiro feeds the potion to Babu's lifeless body. They wait. Nothing happens after trying every possibility they can think of. The result remains the same: failure, accepting defeat. Chihiro finally decides to give up and return Babu to its resting place. Hearing this makes Rei feel unexpectedly sad, because it means their secret nightly meetings will come to an end. As she slowly leaves the abandoned building, her injured leg from climbing the cliff earlier makes every step painful. Without hesitation, Chihiro lifts her onto his bicycle and places her on the back seat, under the quiet night sky. The two begin riding back together, unaware that their strange story is only just beginning. Chihiro rides his bicycle through the quiet night with Rei sitting behind him. Before reaching her house, Rei asks him to stop. For a long time, she has been secretly leaving her mansion through a hidden passage without her father knowing. To her, it feels like a small piece of freedom and otherwise controlled life. But the truth is far darker. Her father has already discovered everything. Soon after, Rei's father completely locks down her life. She is no longer allowed to leave the house, not even to attend school. The suffocating control becomes unbearable. Feeling trapped with no escape, Rei secretly drinks the resurrection potion that Chihiro created. The potion has never worked before, but it still contains poison. Rei believes the poison might finally allow her to escape everything forever. Meanwhile, Chihiro returns home and is greeted by his childhood friend Ranko, who gives him a playful punishment for staying out late again. But in the middle of that moment, something shocking happens. Babu, the cat that had already been buried, suddenly rises back to life, against all logic. The resurrection potion actually worked. Chihiro is stunned, but thrilled by the miracle happening right in front of him. Ranko, however, immediately realizes something terrifying. If the cat has truly become a zombie, it could spread the same condition to others before they can react. Babu suddenly runs away. Chihiro and Ranko immediately chase after it, determined to catch the cat before anyone else becomes a victim. They climb walls, jump through yards, and even crawl through narrow drainage tunnels while chasing the small zombie cat. During the chase, Ranko becomes stuck inside one of the tunnels, while Chihiro continues forward alone. The tunnel eventually leads to a river behind Rei's mansion, revealing the same secret passage Rei once mentioned. At the same time, Rei slowly wakes up despite drinking the poisonous potion. The poison was not strong enough to end her life. Forced to continue living, she returns to her mansion and puts on the same gentle smile she always shows everyone. Inside the house, her life is even colder than before. Her mother openly dislikes her, blaming Rei for the obsessive attention their father gives her. Soon after, Rei overhears a frightening conversation between her father and one of his servants. Believing that Chihiro has influenced his daughter, her father decides to hunt him down and erase him completely. Realizing the danger Chihiro is in, Rei secretly leaves the mansion to warn him. Since Chihiro is not at school, she heads to the abandoned building where they always met, but she does not realize that one of the servants has been secretly following her the entire time. Meanwhile, the chase after Babu leads Chihiro to a beautiful field filled with hydrangea flowers. He suddenly remembers that this was the same place where Rei once climbed a dangerous cliff just to retrieve one of those flowers. At that exact moment, Chihiro notices something alarming nearby. Rei is running, and behind her stands her father, slowly approaching while trying to persuade her to come back. He promises her freedom, promises to give her everything she has ever wanted, and promises a life without restrictions, but the only condition is simple: Rei must return to his side. A quiet moment turns into chaos when Babu suddenly appears and stops Danikiro, whose body reacts violently to the presence of a cat. The tension freezes as something impossible becomes clear: Babu is alive again. In that instant, Rei realizes the truth. Furuya's forbidden potion actually worked, but danger hasn't passed. From behind, Danikiro moves to eliminate Babu, gripping a belt with cold intent. Before he can act, Rei steps in to protect the fragile life that just returned, and loses her balance. Her body falls from above, disappearing into the pouring rain below. The storm grows heavier. Furuya stands frozen, then breaks down, overwhelmed by the loss of the one person who filled the emptiness in his life. With hollow steps, he walks away, memories replaying in silence until a voice calls out from behind. Rei is still there, but not as the person she once was. She rises again, no longer human, but as a zombie. As shock settles in, another twist hits. Ranko appears, somehow surviving, dragging Furuya away to vent her anger for being left behind in darkness. The world refuses to slow down. Back at home, an eerie normality returns. His sister continues her routine in the kitchen, her unsettling appearance contrasting with her calm behavior. But the real secret lies hidden behind Furuya's door. Inside, Rei rests on the floor motionless, cold, and slowly changing. Her body is stiff, lifeless in sensation, yet still bound by the limits of a human form. Time is now the enemy. Within a month, she could disappear completely. Furuya refuses to let that happen. He lowers the temperature of his room, turning it into a preservation chamber. Warning notes are placed, barriers created, but none feel enough. So he transforms his closet, once filled with zombie manga, into a hiding place for a real one. Morning arrives with tension. A simple call from his father shatters the illusion of safety, forcing Furuya to act faster, think smarter. Outside, the sky is clear. A perfect day for family duty cleaning the shrine, a tradition tied to his father's role as a priest. Yet for Furuya, it feels like a burden pulling him away from the secret he must protect. As he struggles between responsibility and obsession, a single thought echoes in his mind: the resurrection potion changed everything. But it may also come with a price no one is ready to face. That was his creation. Furuya immediately tried to confirm it before his grandfather drifted back into confusion. But instead of getting a clear answer, he was only given sacred water directly from his grandfather. As hard as it was to believe, his grandfather's words actually made sense, because the mysterious book had been found by Furuya around his own house. Even though it was hard to believe, what his grandfather said actually made sense, since the mysterious book had been found by Furuya near his house. And if it was true that his grandfather had created the book, then he must know how to restore Rei's health. While he was lost in thought, Renko arrived to deliver the food they had ordered. Caring and skilled at cooking, Renko already met the qualifications to become his father's ideal daughter-in-law. It was a plus point for her, especially since she had already received his father's approval. At that moment, Renko also mentioned that Rei had apparently run away from home. It had become the talk of the entire school, with many even assuming that Rei had eloped. Hearing that, Furuya's imagination started running wild again. He pictured himself living a simple life with Rei as her partner. Even without their family's approval, they still got married, just like in Romeo and Juliet. It was a beautiful fantasy until Renko ruined it by becoming the antagonist in his daydream. While she was there, Renko decided to borrow one of Furuya's zombie movies. As usual, she did it without asking permission, since it had always been her habit. With so many DVDs in Furuya's collection, Renko struggled to choose one, and without realizing it, a real zombie was standing right behind her, ready to surprise her. Even though Rei could now move her body, her mind had not fully recovered. She acted aggressively and immediately hugged Furuya when she saw him. Seeing Rei's injured state and pale skin, Renko demanded an explanation. Furuya told her everything, but Renko misunderstood and thought he had become a mad scientist. Amid the chaos, Rei suddenly climbed out the window. She followed Babu, even mimicking the way it walked. It seemed like Babu was leading her to a place filled with hydrangea flowers. The two of them ate the flowers, and suddenly, Rei regained her consciousness, so the resurrection potion contains hydrangea extract. That's why eating them helps maintain the drug's effect. That assumption was confirmed by his grandfather, who was currently riding on Renko. He explained that to maintain her awareness, Rei's body temperature had to stay low, and she needed to consume hydrangea leaves. However, it still couldn't stop the decay completely because the formula was not yet perfect. Just as his grandfather was about to explain further, a flower pot suddenly hit him on the head. Hearing the commotion, Furuya's father approached and asked who the girl was who was eating leaves. Furuya then asked his father to let Rei stay with them. Even though he couldn't explain the situation yet, he insisted that he had to take responsibility for her. Life's challenges kept coming for Furuya. Even though he decided to sleep in the living room, Rei didn't mind sharing a room with him. This reminded Furuya of the moment they had earlier that day. However, it turned out that Rei didn't remember anything about her previous actions. She placed her hands on Furuya's shoulders and asked him to explain everything that had happened. Since Rei had spent all her time locked in her room, doing nothing but eating leaves, Furuya felt sorry for her. Because of that, he decided to take her out for a walk, something that wouldn't attract attention, since she still looked completely normal on the outside. Even though the truth was that Rei was no longer alive, she was grateful to have been revived as a zombie. Going out like this had been her childhood dream, something that only Furuya could make come true. To fulfill Rei's wish, Furuya needed to quickly find a way to stop the decay. The hydrangea season, which was about to end, would soon become another problem they had to face. Furuya kept thinking about a solution, so lost in thought that he didn't even watch where he was going. Luckily, Rei managed to save him, though it sent Furuya flying quite a distance. It seemed that the limitations of a non-functioning brain were the reason behind Rei's immense strength. When she saw that Furuya's hand was injured, she took the initiative to give him first aid. Furuya became flustered by the care she showed him. However, Furuya's decision to take Rei outside would soon turn into regret. Unbeknownst to them, Danikiro's servant had been following them from the very beginning. Danikiro still couldn't accept his daughter's death, especially since she had been turned into a zombie because of Furuya. That was why he sent his subordinates to search for both Furuya and his daughter. Ever since Rei started living with him, Furuya carefully recorded every abnormality and development in her body. He even documented her daily life for research purposes. One day, a strange question crossed his mind. If Rei had to eat hydrangea leaves like humans need food, then how would the remains return to the soil? That ridiculous question was answered right before his eyes by Babu. Since Rei had been treated as a research subject every day, she asked Furuya to grant her one wish in return to go on a date. This also worked out perfectly for Furuya, since he could finally go on a date with a real zombie, not just in his imagination. For a full hour, Furuya patiently waited while Rei chose her clothes. Little by little, his allowance drained away as he paid for the shopping of this poor zombie, but it was all worth it when he saw how cute she looked. While Rei was picking out clothes, Furuya secretly bought her a coat. Hoping it would protect her from sunlight when they went outside, Rei felt happy, as it was the first time someone had ever shown her such care. But in the middle of that heartwarming moment, Danikiro's subordinates suddenly appeared, intending to take Rei back home. When she was alone, they began executing their plan. One would clear the way, while the other two would carry her away. However, things didn't go as planned. Because she was no longer human, Furuya was eventually taken to Danikiro's residence, bound tightly with a belt around his body. Not long after, a woman named Oria arrived, and she is Ria's mother. As she lay on a chair, Oria explained that she was not Rei's biological mother. In the past, during a fencing competition, Danikiro met a paralyzed girl. Despite her condition, she managed to capture his heart at first sight. He proposed to her and married her, even though she was only 15 years old at the time. Because of her young age and fragile health, his wife passed away shortly after,
giving birth to Rhea, her first child. Arya, who had once been a servant in the household, took advantage of the situation to get closer to Danichiro. Day by day, she stayed by his side, taking care of all his needs. Eventually, Danichiro married Arya, just as she had planned. Rhea's striking resemblance to her biological mother was the reason behind all the attention Danichiro gave her. Back in the present, Rhea arrived at her home to save Furuya, but the moment she opened the door, a servant had already prepared a trap. Rhea was then taken to the basement, a place that resembled a cosplay prison. Meanwhile, Furuya had already fallen into Danichiro's hands. He brought Furuya to a fencing hall, the very place where he had first met his wife. There, Danichiro challenged Furuya to a duel to prove who was more worthy of protecting Rhea. If Furuya could land even a single hit, he would be declared the winner. Even with that advantage, it was still a difficult challenge for Furuya, who knew nothing about fencing. So instead, he chose to attack Danichiro psychologically. He boldly said that rather than being called a father, Danichiro was more like a pervert. Enraged, Danichiro launched an attack and easily broke through Furuya's defense. This moment was witnessed by Rhea, who had managed to escape from the cosplay prison. But unexpectedly, Furuya didn't feel any pain. Instead, he counterattacked by slamming his head forward. It seemed to be a side effect of Rhea's medicine, which had turned him into a half-zombie. Filled with anger, Danichiro suddenly fell silent when he stood before his daughter. He admitted that all he wanted was to return Rhea to her original state, but Rhea refused. Even if her body would eventually disappear one day, thanks to Furuya turning her into a zombie, she had finally experienced a kind of freedom she had never known in her life. At that moment, Danichiro realized his mistake. He had raised Rhea the wrong way. He had never granted her wishes, nor had he ever tried to understand her feelings. The only thing he had done was force her to live under his selfish control. After entrusting his daughter to Furuya, Danichiro left for America in search of a way to keep Rhea's body healthy. And with that, Furuya was able to return to his normal life, though now he was caught between two girls. In the end, however, this battle was already decided, because this is Sankarea.